My name is Natalie Brooks, and for years my mother had one talent that amazed me. She could make a favor sound like love. She never said, "Natalie, I need something from you." She said, "I miss my daughter." She never said, "Your sister is overwhelmed and we need free help." She said, "This family needs to be together for Christmas." And because I wanted to believe her, I kept falling for it. I lived in Denver, Colorado, nearly 1,600 miles from the small town in Ohio where I grew up. I had moved away at 23 after realizing that if I stayed, I would spend the rest of my life cleaning up problems I didn't create. My older sister, Claire, had always been the center of our family. She was beautiful, loud, dramatic, and somehow always the victim in every situation. If she forgot to pay a bill, someone was stressing her out. If she lost a job, the manager had been jealous. If her kids were misbehaving, it was because nobody helped her enough. Claire had 4 children: Ava, who was 10, Mason, 8, Lily, 5, and Noah, 3. I loved those kids. That was the problem. My family knew I loved them, and they used that love like a spare key. The call came 2 weeks before Christmas. I was sitting in my apartment after work, eating takeout noodles straight from the container, when my mom's name lit up my phone. I almost didn't answer. Then guilt answered for me. "Hi, Mom." "Natalie," she said, her voice soft and sweet. Too sweet. "I was just thinking about you." I leaned back against the couch. "Okay. We miss you." That made me pause. My mother, Linda Brooks, did not usually say things like that. She was more practical than emotional. Growing up, she showed love through chores, criticism, and reminding me to wear a coat. "You do?" I asked. "Of course we do. It's Christmas. It doesn't feel right without you here." I looked around my quiet apartment. My small little tree blinked in the corner. I had already planned a peaceful Christmas alone. Movies, pancakes, a long walk, maybe a video call with my best friend. "I don't know, Mom. Flights are expensive right now." "I already checked," she said quickly. "Your father and I can buy your ticket." That surprised me. My parents were not poor, but they were careful with money. My mother once mailed me a birthday card with no gift because, as she wrote, "Postage is expensive now." "You want to buy my flight?" I asked. "Yes. We want you home. I don't want you spending Christmas alone." Something in my chest softened. I hated that it did. No matter how old you get, part of you still wants your mother to choose you. So I said yes. She booked the flight for December 22nd, Denver to Columbus, with one layover in Chicago. She told me Dad would pick me up from the airport. She said we'd bake cookies, decorate the tree, watch Christmas movies, and have a real family holiday. For 3 days, I let myself believe her. I bought gifts for everyone. A dinosaur hoodie for Mason, a sketchbook for Ava, a stuffed bunny for Lily, a toy fire truck for Noah, a soft blue scarf for my mother, a coffee grinder for my dad. For Claire, I bought a spa gift card because she was always saying nobody ever gave her a break. I packed carefully. Sweaters, boots, pajamas, gifts wrapped in my suitcase. On December 22nd, I flew home. The airport was chaos. Families dragging suitcases, kids crying, people arguing over delayed flights. But I was strangely happy. Dad picked me up outside arrivals in his old Ford pickup. He hugged me with one arm and said, "Good to see you, kiddo." That was Dad. Quiet, kind, but passive. He loved peace more than truth, which meant Mom and Claire usually got their way. When we reached the house, it looked exactly the same. White siding, green shutters, wreath on the door, plastic reindeer. In the yard. For a moment, I felt 12 years old again. Mom opened the door before I even knocked. "There's my girl," she said, pulling me into a tight hug. I closed my eyes and hugged her back. Maybe this time was different. Claire was in the living room with the kids. The house was loud, warm, messy, full of wrapping paper, cartoons, and the smell of cinnamon candles. Ava ran to me first. "Aunt Nat!" Then Mason, then Lily. Noah didn't remember me much from my last visit, but he followed the others and wrapped his little arms around my leg. That moment was real. Whatever else happened, the kids loved me without strategy. Claire hugged me last. "You look tired," she said. "Merry Christmas to you too," I replied. She laughed like it was a joke. That night actually felt nice. We ate chili. The kids showed me their drawings. Dad built a fire. Mom put on an old Christmas movie. Claire disappeared upstairs twice to take a call, but I didn't think much of it. The next morning, things shifted. I woke up to Noah crying outside my bedroom door. I opened it and found him standing there in dinosaur pajamas holding an empty sippy cup. "Mommy gone," he said. I picked him up. "Gone where?" He shrugged. Downstairs, the kitchen was a disaster. Cereal spilled across the counter. Lily was watching cartoons with chocolate on her face. Mason and Ava were arguing over the remote. No adults. I checked the driveway. Claire's car was gone. Mom and Dad's car was gone too. On the kitchen table was a handwritten note. "Nat, we had to run errands. Kids had breakfast. Back soon. Love, Mom." I stared at it. Errands. 4 kids. No warning. No asking. I made eggs, cleaned the kitchen, changed Noah's pull-up, helped Lily find clean clothes, broke up 2 arguments, and stopped Mason from trying to microwave a metal bowl. "Where did Grandma go?" I asked Ava. She looked at me carefully. Ava was old enough to understand more than adults gave her credit for. "Mom said not to tell?" My stomach tightened. "Tell what?" She looked down. "That they went to the outlet mall." I took a slow breath. Okay. Annoying, but not a disaster. They came back 5 hours later with shopping bags. Claire swept into the kitchen carrying a latte. "Oh my gosh, you survived," she said brightly. I stared at her. "You left me with 4 kids without asking." Mom sighed as if I had ruined the mood. "Natalie, we were only gone for a little while." 5 hours, Claire rolled her eyes. "They're your nieces and nephews. That doesn't mean you can just leave them with me." Mom gave me that look, the one that said I was being selfish. "We thought you'd enjoy time with them." I wanted to argue, but the kids were watching, so I swallowed it. That night, after everyone went to bed, I told myself not to overreact. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe it was one bad day. Maybe Christmas would still be okay. The next morning proved I was wrong. I woke up early because I heard whispering in the hallway. Mom and Claire were standing near the stairs, already dressed. Claire had curled her hair. Mom was wearing makeup and her long wool coat. I opened the bedroom door. "Where are you going?" They both froze. Mom smiled too fast. "Oh, honey, you're awake." "Yes, where are you going?" Claire adjusted her earrings. "Just out for a bit." Dad appeared behind them, holding car keys. I looked from one face to another. "What's going on?" Mom walked toward me, lowering her voice. "Don't be upset. That sentence never leads anywhere good." "Why would I be upset?" Claire huffed. "Because you make everything hard." My chest tightened. "Tell me where you're going." Mom finally said it. We rented a cabin in Hocking Hills for 2 nights. Just adults. Claire really needs a break. I stared at her. "What?" "It's just 2 nights, Claire said. "We'll be back Christmas Eve morning." "Yo, are leaving me here alone with 4 kids?" Mom clasped her hands. "Not alone. You have the kids." I almost laughed because the sentence was so ridiculous. "I didn't agree to babysit for 2 days. Claire's face hardened. "You don't have anything else to do." I looked at her. "I flew here because Mom said the family missed me." Mom avoided my eyes. And there it was. The truth. They hadn't flown me home for Christmas. They had flown me home for childcare. I looked at Dad. "You knew?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Your mom thought it would be nice for everyone. For everyone except me." Claire stepped closer. "Natalie, I am exhausted. You have no idea what it's like to have 4 kids." "No," I said, "because I didn't have 4 kids." Her mouth fell open. Mom snapped. "That was unnecessary." So was lying to me. Noah began crying from the living room. Lily shouted that Mason had taken her blanket. Ava stood near the doorway, silent and embarrassed. Claire grabbed her purse. "I can't do this. I need 1 weekend." "Then hire a sitter." "Do you know what that costs?" "Yes," I said. "That's why you tricked me." Mom's face turned cold. After everything we did to bring you here, you can help your sister. Everything they did. A plane ticket with strings attached. I looked at the kids again. That was the trap. They knew I wouldn't walk out and leave them unsafe. Claire knew it too. She kissed Noah quickly, told Ava to help Aunt Nat, and walked out. Mom followed. Dad paused at the door. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Then don't go," I said. He looked at me for a long second. Then he left. The door closed. And I was standing in my childhood home with 4 confused children, a suitcase full of gifts, and the painful knowledge that I had been used again. For the first hour, I was angry. Then Noah climbed into my lap and cried for his mom, and anger had to become responsibility. I made pancakes. I found clothes. I cleaned syrup off the floor. I braided Lily's hair badly. I help. Ed Mason build a Lego truck. I sat with Ava at the kitchen table while the little ones watched cartoons. Ava didn't look up from her cereal when she asked, "Did they trick you?" The question hurt more than it should have. I said gently, "I think they made a plan without telling me." She nodded like she already knew. "Mom does that." I looked at her. "Does what?" "Makes people take care of stuff when she doesn't want to." I didn't know what to say. That afternoon, Claire texted me. "Kids okay?" I replied, "They're safe. We need to talk when you get back." She sent a thumbs up emoji. A thumbs up. I stared at it until my anger came back sharp and clear. I spent the rest of the day doing what needed to be done. I cooked dinner, gave baths, found pajamas, read 2 bedtime stories, cleaned the kitchen again, and folded a load of laundry because Noah had an accident. At midnight, I sat alone on the couch, exhausted. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Claire, but clearly not meant for me. "Mom, Nat is mad, but she'll get over it. She always does. At least we don't have to pay a sitter, LOL." My body went still. A few seconds later, the message disappeared. Then another came. "Sorry, wrong person." I read those words again and again. She always does. That was how they saw me. Not as a daughter, not as a sister, as someone who would absorb disrespect and eventually quiet down. I opened my laptop. If they wanted me to be responsible, I would be responsible. I made a list. Food I had bought for the kids, hours of childcare, emergency supplies. The cost of changing my flight. Then I searched local babysitting rates in their area. 4 children, including a toddler, holiday overnight care. The number was not small. By morning, I had created an invoice. Not because I expected Claire to pay easily, because I needed proof. Proof that my time had value. Proof that this was work. No, did family helping family? The next day was December 24th. They were supposed to return by morning. At 10, no one came. At noon, nothing. At 1, Claire texted. "Roads are icy, leaving later." I checked the weather. Roads were fine. I called her. No answer. I called Mom. No answer. I called Dad. He answered on the 3rd ring, sounding guilty. "Hey, kiddo. Where are you?" A pause. "Still at the cabin. You said you'd be back this morning. Claire wanted brunch. Your mom thought—" "I don't care what Mom thought," I said. "You need to come back now." He sighed. "Natalie, don't start." Something in me snapped quietly. "No, Dad, I am not starting anything. I am ending it. If you are not back in 2 hours, I am calling Claire's ex-husband and asking him to pick up his children." Silence. Claire's ex, Marcus, had shared custody of the 2 older kids, Ava and Mason. He was a decent father, from what I knew. Claire hated him because he didn't let her control every detail. Dad lowered his voice. "That would cause problems." "You caused problems when you abandoned 4 kids with someone who didn't agree to watch them." "Natalie, 2 hours." I hung up. My hands were shaking, but my voice had been steady. 30 minutes later, Claire called screaming. "You threatened to call Marcus?" "I told Dad what would happen if you didn't come home." "How dare you involve him?" "You involved me without consent." "They're your family!" And they're your children. She went silent. I continued. I have fed them, bathed them, cleaned up after them, comforted them, and kept them safe for 2 days. You didn't ask. You lied. And now you're late. Claire's voice changed. You're being dramatic. No, I'm being clear. Then I said the words I should have said years earlier. I am not your emergency plan anymore. They came home 90 minutes later. Claire stormed in first, cheeks red from cold and anger. Mom followed, tight-lipped. Dad carried bags and avoided my eyes. The kids ran to their mother. Claire hugged them, but even that felt performative, like she was proving something. Once the kids were settled in the living room with a movie, I asked the adults to meet me in the kitchen. Claire crossed her arms. This better be good. I placed the printed invoice on the table. Mom stared at it. What is this? My childcare invoice. Claire laughed. You're insane. I stayed calm. 49 hours of care for 4 children, including overnight care, meals, cleaning, and holiday rate. Mom picked it up, eyes widening. Natalie, this is ridiculous. No, I said. What's ridiculous is flying me across the country and lying about why. Dad rubbed his forehead. Claire threw the paper down. I'm not paying you to watch your own nieces and nephews. I didn't offer to watch them. Mom said, families help each other. I looked at her. Families ask, users assume. The room went quiet. For once, nobody had a quick reply. I pulled my suitcase from the hallway. Mom blinked. What are you doing? I changed my flight. I leave tonight. But tomorrow is Christmas, Dad said. I looked at him sadly. No. Tomorrow is the day you planned for me to keep working while everyone pretended this was normal. Claire shook her head. Unbelievable! You're abandoning the kids on Christmas? No, I said. Their mother is home. Ava appeared in the doorway, holding Lily's hand. She had heard enough to understand. Aunt Nat? She asked softly. You're leaving? That almost broke me. I knelt in front of her. Yes, sweetheart, but not because of you. Never because of you. Her eyes filled with tears. I hugged her tightly, then Mason, then Lily, then Noah, who didn't understand and tried to put a sticker on my coat. I gave them their gifts early. Mason loved the hoodie. Lily hugged the bunny. Noah made siren noises with the fire truck. Ava opened. Ned the sketchbook and smiled in a way that hurt. Before I left, she slipped a folded paper into my hand. Open it later, she whispered. Dad drove me to the airport. The ride was quiet. Halfway there, he said, Your mom didn't mean to hurt you. I looked out the window at the gray Ohio sky. Yes, she did, I said. She just didn't expect me to do anything about it. He didn't answer. At the airport, he helped me lift my suitcase out of the truck. I'm sorry, he said again. This time, I looked at him. Dad, sorry only matters when it changes what you do next. His eyes lowered. I hugged him because I loved him. But I didn't soften the truth. On the flight back to Denver, I opened Ava's note. It was a drawing of me sitting on the couch with all 4 kids around me. At the top, she had written, Thank you for staying when they left. I cried quietly into a napkin while the woman beside me pretended not to notice. When I got home, my apartment was cold and peaceful. My little tree still blinked in the corner. The gifts I had bought for my parents and Claire were still in my suitcase. I didn't mail them. I returned what I could and donated the rest. On Christmas morning, I made pancakes, watched a movie, and took a long walk through the snow. For the first time in years, I did not call my mother. She called me at noon. I let it ring. She texted later. You really hurt this family. I typed back, no. I stopped letting this family hurt me. Then I blocked her for the day. Not forever. Just long enough to enjoy my peace. A week later, Claire sent me a long message about how hard motherhood was and how I had no idea what pressure felt like. I replied with one sentence. I love your children, but I am not responsible for the life you chose. She didn't respond. 3 weeks later, my mother finally mailed me a check. Not for the full invoice. Half. Attached was a note. I still think you overreacted, but your father says we should pay something. I almost laughed. It wasn't a real apology, but it was the first time they had ever admitted, even indirectly, that my time was worth anything. I deposited the check, then I sent a message to the family group chat. I will not be available for surprise childcare in the future. If anyone wants me to babysit, ask first, give dates and times, and respect my answer. If children are left with me without permission again, I will contact the other parent or local authorities to make sure they are safely cared for. Claire left the chat. Mom called me disrespectful. Dad sent a thumbs up. That was progress, I guess. The next Christmas, I did not go home. I flew to San Diego with my best friend instead. We ate tacos on the beach, wore sunglasses on Christmas morning, and laughed so hard my stomach hurt. I mailed the kids gifts because my love for them was real. I also included a letter for Ava, telling her she was never responsible for adults' bad choices. She wrote back 2 weeks later. Her letter said, "Mom says you are stubborn. I think you are brave." I pinned it to my fridge. Sometimes people think boundaries are cruel because they were benefiting from you having none. My mother thought she flew me home for the holidays. Claire thought she dumped 4 kids on me and got away with it. But what they really did was give me the final push I needed to stop being the easy daughter, the free babysitter, the quiet helper, the one who always got over it. I still love my family, but I love myself now too, and that changed everything.